Hello everyone, and this is our second session about opening tricks and traps and tips, and this session about early queen moves. Uh, this is a common mistake that beginners, especially young ones, tend to make, is to move their queen and to move their queen early in the opening. In general, the queen should only be moved out aggressively after the center is controlled and the minor pieces are developed, and the king is castled. So after the opening stage and the complete development, so after that we should consider where to develop our queen. The opponent generally has to break a rule in order to justify bringing out one's queens. Uh, so this could be something such as moving the f-pawn, as we mentioned in earlier sessions, uh, or moving the same piece multiple times in the opening. So typically, early queen moves are made to attempt an early checkmate, and or to gain an like to gain material, or to try to execute a threatening or to execute a checkmate, or to attack the opponent so early in the opening. Um, so first, let's see some examples of students and beginners. First game is to play so so this is the game we should start with, just to adjust the board. And now the game started with e4, e5, and queen to h5, and this is an early move of the queen. Uh, so as we mentioned, as a rule, the queen shouldn't be moved early. Uh, so this is a mistake. So let's see how the other player, if he can get benefit from this mistake. Knight to f6, bishop to c4, and now white is threatening checkmate on f7. g6, of course, blocking the attack and trying to get rid of this pressure. Queen to f3, okay, second time also white insisting on attacking on f7 and threatening to checkmate the opponent. So knight to f6, blocking, of course. We cannot let the opponent checkmate. And d3. So now it looks like everything is okay, and white trying to develop normally, despite his big mistake or big breaking rules by moving his queen early in the game. So d3. In case of knight to d4, queen to d1, bishop to g7, and c3. And the both players are trying to develop their pieces. Bishop to g7, knight to c3, developing, and now knight to d4, attacking the queen on f3. Queen to d1. So as we mentioned, so after 7 moves, the queen only moved 3 times. Queen to h5, queen to f3, queen to d1. So now this is very obvious that when we develop our queen, it becomes a target for the opponent pieces. So for that, the opponent can develop his pieces with tempo, attacking our queen. So we should not allow this. So after queen to d1, castles, and of course black gained valuable time for developing while pushing white's queen back, as we mentioned. And by doing so, black has gained the initiative and will now be the one who can start attack. And this is the first example. We are concentrating on the opening stage and how the mistakes are made by the opponents or by the players. So now we are going to see the next game. So the next game, e4, e5, and queen to h5. Also this time, white tries to confuse black by playing queen to h5. So if black don't know how to react to this kind of moves, he will get himself in trouble, and maybe he can lose some material if not being checkmated. So g6, of course, as we mentioned before, attacking the queen. We should not allow the queen in the camp. So this is the camp for black. Sorry. So this is the black camp. Of course, black cannot allow any white piece in his camp. So also white cannot allow any piece for black in his camp. So the player should push back any piece of his opponent in his camp. Queen takes e5, and actually with g6, black fall for the trap and let white queen fork his king and his rook, and now black will lose the rook on h8. In case of queen to e7, trying to exchange queens. So no, we can take on h8. So this is a rook for nothing. Queen e4 check, and we can cover with knights or with bishop. With knight is better, of course, because the bishop is protecting the g2 pawn. So back to the game, black tried to cover with the bishop. Queen takes h8. So this is a rook for free. So now in case king to f8 trying to protect the knight, d3, and we are going to attack the king with the bishop. In the game, black played bishop to f8, going back. So the knight is not protected, we can't take it. Queen takes g8, so the knight is lost and the rook is lost, and actually black is almost lost the game. Knight to c6, trying maybe to develop some pieces. Bishop to c4, and now we can see another pattern to attack the f7 pawn with the queen and with the bishop. Of course, black must protect, so he protects with pushing the f6 pawn, f6, but this is not the case now. We cannot defend this way. Queen to f7 and checkmate. So we have to be careful with our moves. So let's see another example. e4, e5, bishop c4. This is a normal move. This is better than developing the queen. Bishop to c5 also. And now queen to h5. Actually, queen to g4 is better in this case, but in the game, white played queen to h5, trying to attack on f7, as we mentioned before. This is a very well known theme, to attack the f7 with the queen and bishop, threatening checkmate. So there is many moves to defend this attack. One of them is queen to e7, or queen to f6, or g6. But g6 is the wrong way. So as we saw in the previous game, g6 allow the white queen, to fork the king and the rook. So queen takes e5, attacking the king, attacking the rook, and attacking the bishop. So be careful with this kind of moves. In case queen to e7, okay, we can take now on h8, and this is not now as before, but also still winning for white. So black in the game played knight to e7, so he blocked with the knight, but still the queen is under still the rook is under attack, and the bishop is under attack. So what to do now? Of course, white takes the rook on h8 and check the king. Knight to g8, of course, trying to block the checkmate, but queen takes g8 and also threatening checkmate. Bishop to f8, blocking with the bishop, and you can see now, as we mentioned before, the typical pattern of checkmate with the bishop and queen on f7. So queen f7, checkmate. You have to remember this and to memorize this pattern, because this kind of pattern will come frequently in every game, or almost every game. So this is the example. Let's see another example of early move. So e4, e5, knight f3, normal developing, queen to f6. And now we should notice that black moved his queen to f6, and this is, as you know now, this is wrong. We don't move our queen early in the game. So queen to f6, so bringing the queen out this early can be good. Still, many players did this back in time, or the beginners, or the small kids, small students. So now we can punish black for this kind of bad moves. Bishop to c4, completing our development normally. Queen to g6, and now black trying to be smart and wants to attack our g2 pawn, and g2 pawn is not defended. So how to defend this pawn? With development. So best move is to develop a piece and to attack, or develop a piece and protect another piece or another pawn. So white choose to castle. So castling is a developing move and protecting the g2 pawn. Although black can take the e4 pawn now. So the black queen must move another time. So queen to f6, queen to g6, queen to e4, and this is very, very bad. There is a general principle in the opening: we cannot, or we should not, move the piece more than one time. Just we can develop the piece once, because we need the other moves to develop other pieces. We don't move the piece twice, or three times, or four times. Every time we move the same piece, we are losing tempo. So queen takes e4. So this is the third time in 5 moves, or in 4 moves. So e5, black played e5, this is one, and then queen f6, 2, queen g6, 3, queen e4, 4 times. 4 moves, 3 moves for the queen only. And this is, as you notice now, we can play a tricky move to gain a great attack. So if you can see this move, it's good. If you can't see this move, you can later maybe stop the video and try to find a very beautiful combination. And the move is bishop takes f7. Always, always, always keep in mind the f7 square, because this is the weakest square on the board, because it's just protected by the king. So in case king takes f7, now you can see the fork with the knight. So fork with the knight. So knight to g5, forking the king and the queen. and now the queen is lost, and white can win the game very easy, of course without blunders. Back to the game. In the game, maybe black noticed this danger, so he played king to e7. Fine. We can continue now our attack and trying to develop more pieces and to attack more, because now both the king and the queen in the center and in danger, and this is for the white's benefit. Rook to e1, attacking the queen, so the queen must move. Queen to f4, so there is many moves we can play. Rook takes e5 because we attack the e5 pawn with the rook and with the knight. Or we can play d4, opening the diagonal for the bishop to attack the queen, and also we attack e5 pawn. But we don't forget about the bishop on f7, so we have to protect the bishop on f7. Rook takes e5. This is what played in the game. So the king now must move, and maybe he can take the bishop on f7. In case king to d8, trying to hide, but this is very wrong. This is checkmate. Rook to d8 and checkmate. Another move, king takes f7. King takes f7, so now we should play with attack and development. Always we think in the opening with developing moves and attacking moves, and if we can combine two objects in one move, it's better. So developing and attacking, it's better. So first developing and then attacking. So d4, opening the diagonal for the bishop to attack the queen. This is the first object. Second object, we are protecting our rook on e5. So two objects in one move. In case the queen moves to g4, knight to g5, attacking the king now, and discovering the attack on the queen. So the queen, where to go, and we have a check. So the check with the knight can be defended just by two options, or to take the knight or to move the queen. So we cannot block it with any other move, with any other pieces. So we can take the knight or move the king. So if the queen takes the knight, we can take with the bishop, and if the king moves to f6 maybe, or to g6, we can take the queen on g4. So in the game, the queen moved to f6. So now f6, maybe trying to hide on f6 and trying to protect the king also. So let's see the move for white, knight to g5. As we said, if we can attack and do checkmate for the king, it's better. So knight to g5, checking the king. So the king cannot move to this squares, just to g6. And in case the queen takes the knight, we can take with the bishop. So of course the king will move to g6. So how to continue our attack queen to d3, attacking one more time. So in case king to h5, continue the attack, g4. So there is many replies now. In case king to h4, queen to g3, checkmate. And in case king to h6, knight to f7, checkmate. Another move, in case the king takes the g4 pawn, queen to h3, and checkmate. So in the game, black played king to h6. So now you have to find the checkmate. Think yourself how to checkmate the king. And this is the move, knight to f7. Knight to f7, discover check, discover with double check with the knight and with the bishop, and the squares controlled and the squares controlled. So nowhere to go, so the black king is checkmated. So this is another example about moving the queen early. So let's see another example. e4, e5, knight, queen to h5, and now you can see, and now you know that moving the queen early is not a good move, and this is a mistake because it makes our queen a target for the opponent's pieces. And you know that g6 is bad because it allows queen to e5, checking the king and checking and attacking the rook. Knight to c6, of course, defending the e5 because the queen attacking the e5 pawn. Bishop to c4, and now remember, always pay attention for the f7 square. We should protect the f7 pawn. g6, and now as the e5 pawn is protected, we can play g6 and attack the queen. So the queen must move back. Queen to f3, and also one more time the queen attacking on f7 with the bishop. So we have to defend. Knight to f6. Maybe queen to f6, but it's okay. g4, and also g4 now is a bad move. Because of knight to d4, attacking the queen. As we mentioned before, the queen is a target for the opponent's pieces. So queen back to d1 because it has to defend the c2 pawn. d5, now attacking the bishop and opening the diagonal for the bishop, for our bishop, for the black bishop to attack on g4. So it's better to go to e2 and defend the g4 pawn. In the game, white takes on d5. Okay, bishop takes g4, attacking the queen. How to block the attack? In case of knight to e2, now this is a checkmate pattern. You have to remember this pattern. knight to f3, king to f1, and bishop to h3, checkmate. Remember this pattern? The knight protecting or controlling the two squares around the king, and the bishop executing the checkmate. Back to the game. In the game, white block with f3. Knight takes d5 now. F takes g4. Queen to h4 check, and this is almost a checkmate for white, because the king cannot move and cannot block, so the only move is to play to f1, and you can continue now and find the checkmate or the strong attack for black. And black actually was winning easily, and white was soon checkmated. So let's see another example. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, and g6, d4, e4, knight d5. So white is playing aggressively. Bishop to g7, bishop to g5, attacking the queen. In case of f6, now the f6 is the best square to develop the knight on g8. So now after moving the pawn to f6, so we are preventing the knight to be developed to the best square. So bishop to f4, and now attacking the c7 square. So the knight can take on c7, or we can take with the bishop, and the queen is lost. Let's see how to react as black. Maybe he can play d6 or something, but this is not our case or our topic for this game. We are playing and analyzing games with mistakes with the early moves of the queen. So after knight g to e7, and this is considered as a blunder, it seems like this is normal to develop the knight, and after that we can castle, but this is a mistake now, because knight takes d4, in case knight takes d4, bishop takes e7, and the queen is lost. And in case bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, and now you can notice after knight takes d4, you can notice why white sacrificed his queen on d4. Why we can give our queen on d4? Why we gave our queen for black? And try to find the checkmate into in this position. You can stop the video and try to find the checkmate into for white. And the move is knight to f6, checking the king, king to f8, bishop to h6, and this is the pattern we talked about early. So the knight controlling the two adjacent squares for the king, and the bishop executing the checkmate. So this is some examples of the bad early moves of the queen, or developing of the queen early. Unjustified early queen moves are commonplace in scholastic chess. So when an opponent moves the queen out early in an attempt to make an early checkmate, and this is wrong, so some care is required. Of course, we have to be attention to pay some attention, to be ready and to calculate well. However, with a few sharp moves, the enemy queen should be forced to retreat, or can even become captured. So we should not develop our queen early in the game, because this is bad, and this is breaking the rules and breaking the principles of the game. So this is our session for today. Thank you for watching, and be careful with your opening, be careful with your developing moves, and try to apply everything you learned from this session and early sessions. Thank you for watching, and bye.